This evening, the focus of the lesson is going to be on finding the coordinates at the point of intersection between a hyperbola and a straight line. So this is a fairly common question in grade 11. So it is important that you are able to do this. Let's begin by having a look at the example here. This really is quite a simple example because the hyperbola has not been shifted to the left or to the right or up or down. How do I know that? How do I know that the hyperbola has not been shifted if I just have a look at its equation, which is y equals 6 over x? How do I know it hasn't been shifted? Grade 11s. What's missing? What's not there? There is an A value. So Hlumelo, that's good. There's no Q value, good. What's the A value though? The value of A in this case. Good. Okay, so Hlumelo, the value of A is equal to 6. Good. What does the A value tell us? What does it tell us about the hyperbola? What does the A value tell us about a hyperbola? Can anybody explain that to me? What does the A value tell you about the hyperbola? Any ideas? What does the A value tell you about the hyperbola? Zoom user, that is a good answer, but unfortunately it's not correct. Okay, it doesn't tell us where the asymptotes are. Hlumelo, you're on the right track because the number can either be positive or negative. But if the number's positive, what does that mean? If the number's negative, what does that mean? The A value. So in this case, A is positive. Well, there we go, Hlumelo. Means if it's at 6, it means a function. There we go. Okay. Do you know why? Okay, Kamogelo and yes, good Kamogelo. Reference, yes, lovely. But what do you know why? Do you know why? If A is positive, it means that it's been the hyperbola has been sketched in quadrants 1 and 3. Good. And if A is negative, it means the hyperbola has been sketched in quadrants 2 and 4. Do you know why though? Because then can anybody explain that to me? I'm just I'm just testing your general knowledge about functions. Actually, it doesn't have anything to do with shifts, Raven said. Look at this. This is actually what it comes, this is what it comes from, okay? So you are used to seeing the hyperbola in this form, in the form y equals. If you cross multiply, you would have y times x. Now, x and y represent, or you could write it as xy equals 6. So I've cross multiplied here. And I've got x times y equals 6. So what that means is an x coordinate multiplied by a y coordinate. So in quadrants 1 or quadrants 3, you've got a positive x multiplied by a positive y, which gives you a positive a value. Or in quadrant 3, you've got a negative x and a negative y, which gives you a positive a value. That's actually where it comes from. So if they give you something like x, y, sorry, I beg your pardon, let's not go that far. Does that make sense to everybody? So that's why if A is positive, that's the reason for it. Okay, it's because a positive x times a positive y gives you a positive a value, or a negative times a negative gives you a positive a value. Okay, it's important to bear that in mind, that because that explains why it's drawn in the quadrants that it's in, isn't it? Okay, and it would be the same story. So let's say if you had y equals -3 over x. So now when we say x times y equals -3, this is sketched in quadrants 2 or 4, because a negative x times a positive y would give us a negative a. So this would be in quadrant 2. Or in quadrant 4, where x is positive but y is negative, that would give us a negative a value. Okay, Muhle, you're welcome to unmute and ask.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Muhle.
Ma'am, I can't see the screen.
Oh, I don't know why. Lebo, can you assist Muhle, please?
Will do, Miss Lee.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I'm kind of digressing a little bit, but I just wanted to check your understanding of functions and just to go into this a little bit because I think it's important for us to remember all of this. Okay, so in this case, we have got y equals 6 over x, and the other equation is y equals x minus 1. So at the points of intersection, these two are equal to one another. So you would make 6 over x equal to x minus 1. What's the next best thing to do now? Grade 11s, what do you want to do next? After you've equated them, what are we going to do? Lovely. We want an LCD. Okay, what would our LCD be? Pleasure, Muhle. I'm glad it's working. What are we going to do now? After we've got 6 over x equal to x minus 1, what's our next step, grade 11s? Lovely. Okay, multiply through by x. Okay, so x is your LCD. Multiply through by x. That would leave you with 6 equals x squared minus x. After you've multiplied through by x, you're going to get it into standard form. And after you've done that, you are going to factorize. So x minus 3 times x plus 2, and we would have two solutions for x. So either x would be equal to 3, or x would be equal to -2. Okay, so I'm just put it out here on the side. So after you have equated, you're going to times each term by x. Oopsie daisy. I got a little bit close to the side here. You're going to times each term by x. You're going to get it into standard form. You're going to factorize, and your solutions for x and y. Okay, so those are the general steps. Grade 11s, you would get a mark for equating. You would probably get a mark for getting into standard form. You get a mark for your factors. Do not leave off the equals 0. Okay, don't be lazy and do that either, implying that it's equal to 0. Okay, write that it is equal to 0 on that line. When you get your matric, there is often an accuracy mark on that line. So if you leave off the equal 0, they will penalize you. Okay, so factors are marked throughout caps in paper 1 and in paper 2. Okay, so don't be lazy and throw marks away. And then there are both your x's, and then we would have a mark on both our y's as well. Okay, Zandisile, you are asking, how did we get X? I don't understand what you mean, Zandisile. I don't have an X minus 1 in brackets. So yes, a friend said we're going to get 2 X values and 2 Y values. It depends. It depends, Rafense. So if they say to you, write down, no, it won't be write down, calculate the coordinates at the point of intersection of F and G, then give your answers as coordinates. If they ask for coordinates, give them coordinates. All right. So it just depends on how specific they are. In this case, it says find the coordinates of the points of intersection. So yes, let's do that. Let's write them as coordinates. Normally in paper 1, there would only be 1 penalty mark somewhere on the paper for not writing things as coordinates. But we don't want to get penalized. Okay, so it's easiest. It does actually, in fact, in this one, it really doesn't matter because you can sub into either and get your answer for Y. So Y would be equal to, let's use the linear one. So I'm going to say 3 minus 1. So that would give me 2. So one pair of coordinates would be 3 and 2. Or Y is equal to minus 2 minus 1. So Y would be equal to negative 3. So the other pair of coordinates, minus 2 and minus 3. Okay. So yeah, generally something like this would be out of 5 marks. Okay. Lebo, I don't know if you can help Godfrey. He says he's having a problem with sound.
Will do, Miss Lee.
Thank you so much, Lebo. All right, any questions? Are we all good? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Are we happy? Good. Well done, everyone. All right, cool. So let's go on and do an example of one that is a little bit more difficult. I'll come back and let you guys try that one. Good. Where is it? Okay. This is the one that I want us to have a look at quickly. I hope everybody can see that and that it's big enough. So we are going to look at question D. So we want to find the coordinates at the point of intersection of n of x and p of x, right? So before we get started, oh, sorry, let me just have a look here. Paul, is it possible that we're given a random point on the graph? We're given a random point in graph A and the equation. Okay, so Paul, they can't give you a random point. So yeah, they can't just give you a random point. It has to be either the point of intersection of 2 functions, or it has to be like the fourth vertex in a parallelogram, or it would have to be a vertex in a triangle, or it would have to be a point of intersection of 2 straight lines. It can't just be a random point. There would be a way for you to be able to calculate it depending on the question. What you're doing now, the work that you're doing now, this would be applicable in both in paper 1 and in paper 2. Like here specifically, Mr. S is doing it with you with functions, but I mean, you could use this in analytical geometry as well for points of intersection. So it's a very good concept to learn about. Okay, so it won't just be a random point. There will be a way for you to be able to calculate that. Or it's it's not just going to be some random point somewhere. No. Okay. All right. Okay, so we've got n of x and p of x. So the difference here is that this graph, P of X, has been shifted horizontally, and it has also been shifted vertically. Just before we get into this, for as far as P of X is concerned, can you give me the equation of the horizontal asymptote of P of X? What's the equation of the horizontal asymptote of P of X? The equation of the horizontal asymptote of P of X. I know it's got nothing to do with our question. I just want to see what you guys know. The horizontal asymptote. Okay, and Paul, that's right. You can't just write a number. If you're writing the equation of the horizontal asymptote, guys, you have to write it y equals. Okay, so you must write it y equals, and in this case, it would be -2. Good. Okay, the horizontal asymptote. Okay, so this graph has been shifted 2 units down. Okay, what's the equation of the vertical asymptote? The equation of the vertical asymptote. Okay, good. So there are a few of you with the right answer. It would be x equals -3. Okay, so remember when it comes to your p-value, sign changes. Okay, so if we've got x plus 3 in our denominator, that means that the graph of p has been shifted 3 units to the left, not to the right. Okay, so these questions are important. They're often the first questions they ask you about a hyperbola is to write down the equations of the asymptotes. Okay, so let's begin the same way that we did with the other one, where we are going to equate them. So we've got -1 over x plus 3 minus 2, and that's equal to -x minus 5. So when you are working with a hyperbola that has been shifted horizontally and vertically, the easiest thing for you to do is to deal with the value of the horizontal asymptote first. So in this case, it's -2. Transpose that -2, okay, and take it over to the other side. So that means you would end up with -1 over x plus 3 on the left. And on the right-hand side, we would transpose that -2. So we would add 2 to this side, which means we need to add 2 to this side as well. So this would become -3 after we have added 2. Okay, once you have done that, the easiest thing for you to do now is to cross multiply. Remember, this is over 1. So you're going to cross multiply that 1 and that -1, and you're also going to cross multiply the x plus 3 with the minus x minus 3. Okay, so cross multiplying is a method to solve equations. Okay, it's not how we multiply fractions. When we multiply fractions, we multiply numerator with numerator and denominator with denominator, but we cross multiply to solve equations because cross multiplying is the same as multiplying both sides by x plus 3. Okay, so on the left, we have -1. On the right, we have -x minus 3 multiplied by x plus 3. Now we're going to do FOIL, get rid of our brackets. This would leave us with -x squared minus 3x minus 9. And now it's the same old thing. All right, after we've transposed that -2 and cross multiplied, got rid of our brackets, we're trying to get it into standard form. Okay, so that we can factorize and solve. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring everything over to the left-hand side. So on the left, I would end up with x squared plus 6x plus 8. And this would be equal to 0. Sorry, that should just be a little bit closer. I'm just going to move it up. Okay, because it's easier for me to work with factors when the value in front of my x squared is positive. Lesedi, the cross multiplying is just easier, but it's the same thing at the end of the day. Okay, so you can only cross multiply Lesedi when you have, so let's say you've got a situation like this originally. So you've got -1 over x plus 3 minus 2 equals minus x minus 5. You cannot cross multiply here because of this -2. That's why you've got to take that over to the other side. So you can only cross multiply when you have a fraction equals a fraction. If there are additional terms next to the fractions, you can't cross multiply. So that's why you take that -2 over. If you wanted, what you could do at this point is multiply every single term by x plus 3. So you'd end up with -1. Sorry, beg your pardon. Just as another way of solving it, an alternative way. -2 times x plus 3 equals minus, yes, I can irritate myself when I do this. Okay, minus x times x plus 3 minus 5 times x plus 3. So you can do it like that as well. If you multiplied everything out here and got it into standard form, you'd see that it would give you the same thing. So you choose. I just think that cross multiplying is quicker. But if you have a look here, okay, let's get it into standard form. So you'd end up with negative x squared. So that would be minus 8x. Then here, it would be plus 2x. Bring down the minus 15, and then we need to add 1 and add 6. So we would end up with negative x squared minus 6x, and then minus 15 plus 7 would leave us with negative 8. Can you see it's the same thing? So now if we multiplied through by -1, we'd end up with x squared plus 6x plus 8. So you can choose. Okay, you can choose which method you want to use, Lesedi. All right, if you multiply through by the LCD, you'd have the green. If you cross multiplied, you'd have the pink. So I think cross multiplying is just a bit faster. Choice is yours. Okay. Pleasure, no problem. And again, factorize. So this would be 4 and 2. And now we need to go and solve for our y value. Okay, so you can either sub into the hyperbola or into the straight line. It's just easier to sub into the straight line. Okay, so I'm just going to write that down. So it was, let's sub in there. Oh, sorry, this is pink. Okay, so we've got y equals negative x minus 5. So y would be equal to 4 minus 5, so that would be negative 1. So one pair of coordinates would be minus 4 minus 1, or y would be equal to, so that would be 2 minus 5, so that would be negative 3. Okay. I agree, Akonele. Okay, any questions? Any questions, grade 11s? Are we all good? Happy? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Okay, you sure? All right. Okay, cool beans. Thanks for the response, everybody. I hope that is making sense. Let's give you something to try now. Okay. So let's go up here. This is going to be the first one that we do. This is a little bit simpler than what I've shown you. And then I'm going to give you one just like the one that I've done for you to do as well. There we go. Okay, so this is the first one we're going to try. You are going to find the coordinates at P and at Q. Okay, and there you've got your two functions. All right, off you go. And then when you're done, you can tell us that you're done in the chat. If anyone's done super quickly, then I can give you the next question to continue with. Okay. Okay, so Mpo's done, Letty's done. That's great. Well done, Mpo and Letty. This is the next question that you're going to try in the bottom left-hand corner. Okay, so this was the first question. If you are done, then you're going to try question number 2. Okay. Godfrey's also done. Torva's done. I hope I pronounced that correctly. All right. Don't feel stressed if there are other people that are done faster than you. Just work at your own pace. Okay, lovely. Well done. Okay, Awami. Potso, Awonke, Ongenkosi. Good. Nice, guys. Move on to question 2. Gabriel, good stuff. Angani. Lean, Akonele. Good. Go on to number 2. I'll do the answer to number 1 in due course. Try number 2 now, please. Okay, so here's the answer to number 1. So I got x is 4 or minus 1, and y is 3 or minus 2 for number 1. They did specifically say the coordinates of P and Q, so the coordinates at P would be -1 and -2. The coordinates at Q specifically would be 4 and 3. Okay, so just check that you guys did do that correctly. I know a lot of us are on to number 2 now. Are there any questions about number 1? Any questions about number 1? No, we're all good. Okay, so we're doing number 2 now. Okay, so let us know when you're done with number 2. Okay, here's a slightly different one. If you are done with 2, okay, Ravensi, that's fine. If anybody is so inclined, you can carry on with number 3. Okay, so Ravensi, let's see if we can. Okay, so you say you're stuck. How far are you, Ravensi? What's the last thing that you've managed to work out? Where are you stuck at? Can you explain to me, Ravensi? You can't factorize. Okay. What is your standard form? What's your quadratic and standard form? What did you get? You can put it into the chat if you don't want to unmute and speak.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi, Ravensi. What did you get as your quadratic?
I got 3x squared minus x minus 10 is equals to 0.
Okay. Do you think you're wrong? Do you think you made a
No,
mistake
I don't
somewhere?
think so.
You don't think that. Okay, but now you're struggling to factorize. Okay, so when you struggle to factorize, if factorizing becomes an issue for you, what do you use? The
Oh, quadratic
formula. There you go. So if you can't factorize, use the quadratic formula.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay. That's the awesome thing about being in grade 11. Okay, so when you're in grade 10 and you have those horrible complex trinomials, you just have to solve them. But when you get to grade 11, at least you've got the quadratic formula. Make sure that you show that you've subbed into it though. Okay, so you must write the quadratic formula with the values of A, B, and C. Okay, yeah, there we go. Lovely, Ravensi. Okay, so if you've got 2 solutions for X, get 2 solutions for Y. And then you can have a look at question 3. Are you cooking the chicken? Okay, Masana, that's fine. I'm going to work through that question with you guys as well. I just wanted to give everybody a little bit of time to try it. Okay, so as far as question 2 is concerned, have I given everybody, so Masana, I'm going to do it now, but have I given everybody enough time to try question 2? Are other people getting solutions? Do we need a little bit more time? Okay, so Godfrey, you're also lost. Okay, so Sinasipo, you need some time. Godfrey, can you explain to me where you got lost? And let's see if we can help you. Okay, so Masana, since no one else is okay, Letty, that's fine. You're stuck on the third one. Let's just do the second one quickly then. All right, and then we can talk about the third one. Okay, so you've got -6 over x plus 1 minus 2 equal to minus 3x plus 2. So we're going to transpose the -2. And that would give us +4 on this side, right? Shantae. Okay, so Shantae, what you would have actually done, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, is over here with this one, you would have made either x or y the subject of the formula. So if you make y equal to 6 over x, then what you've got to do is you've got to take that and go and substitute that in there where the y is. Okay. All right, we'll come back to that one. Then we're going to cross multiply. So that's going to give us -6 equals -3x plus 4 times x plus 1. Okay, no problem. Which will give us -3x squared minus 3x plus 4x plus 4. Getting it into standard form, we'd end up with minus 3x squared. Sorry, let me just make that a 0. Sorry, that question's disappeared now. And we'd have plus x plus 4 plus, so this would be plus 10. So we now ended up with 3x squared minus x minus 10. So at this point, you can either use the quadratic formula or you can factorize. The choice is yours. Okay, sorry, it was just us from earlier. Just clear a bit of space here. If you were factorizing, you'd end up with, so 3x and x. I'm going to put the 5 there and the 2 here so that we get -6 plus 5, which gives us the -1 in the middle. So x would be equal to -5 over 3, or x would be equal to 2. Your alternative to factorizing, so, or on this line over here, you could do, let's just scooch over a little bit. You could do the quadratic formula. So your alternative is this. So x equals -b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Let's just check I'm correct. -b plus minus b squared minus 4. And okay, and you'll end up with the same answers. So either x would be equal to -5 over 3, or x would be equal to 2. All right, and then again, we've got to go and solve for y. Okay, so y would be equal to -3 into -5 over 3 plus 2. So that would give you 7. Y would be equal to 7. Or y would be equal to negative 3 into 2 plus 2. So y would be equal to 4. Okay, so as far as question 2 is concerned, your one point of intersection is where x is equal to minus 5 over 3, while y is 7. The other point of intersection is where, excuse me, x is 2 and y is 4. All right, any questions? Are we sorted there? Do we understand? Are we happy? Oh, sorry, it's negative 4. Sorry, quite right. Minus 6 plus 2 is negative 4. Yes. Quite right. Thank you. All right. Is everybody happy with question 2? Is that making sense to you? Are we all good? Yes. All right. So we've just got a little bit of time left. What I'd like for us to do is just to go back and have a look at this extension question over here. I don't know if you guys were listening. It's obviously difficult to work and listen at the same time, but if you were given a situation like this, where you've got x, y equals 6, and then those factors equals 18, the best thing for you to do here is to work with this equation on the left, make y the subject to the formula, or x, it really doesn't matter, and y would be equal to 6 over x. Now you're going to sub that into the other equation. So you've got x plus 3, and in place of y here, you're going to write 6 over x plus 1, and that's equal to 18. Okay, so now we need to know how to multiply fractions in order to be able to answer this. Remember, when we multiply fractions, we multiply numerator with numerator and denominator with denominator. So this is not in zero factor form because it's equal to 18. I've got to multiply it out, take the 18 over to the other side, and then get it into standard form. So multiplying first with first, I'd get 6. Then I'd get plus x. Then I would get plus 18 over x. And then I would get plus 3. And I'm going to transpose that 18. That would be minus 18 equals 0. Does that make sense to everybody? So I've just done FOIL and I've transposed the 18. Are we all good with that? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Making sense to everyone? Okay, so Masana, what must I repeat? I've done FOIL. So first out is in as last. First, x times 6 over x is 6. X times 1 is x. 3 times 6 over x is 18 over x. 3 times 1 is 3. And I've transposed the 18. Okay, and I've made it equal to 0. Yeah, so when I multiply x with 6 over x, so if you've got over here, I'll just write here, if you've got x times 6 over x, yes, the x's would cancel and you'd just be left with 6. Okay, so that's why it's just 6. Okay, so let's just collect like terms together. So I've got x plus, ach jere man, plus 18 over x. And then here I've got 6 plus 3, which is 9. And then minus 18, that would be minus 9. I do not understand why my writing pad is giving me issues. Okay. I'm going to multiply through by x. So this gives me x squared plus 18 minus 9x is equal to 0. I'm going to get it into standard form. So I'm going to put that in the middle and the plus 18 at the end. Okay, now that I've done this, I should be able to factorize. So this is going to be x minus 6, x minus 3. So either x is equal to 6 or x is equal to 3. Cornelia, I don't think that we will have the time to be able to do that, but it's not going to make any difference. If you had x as the subject, x would be equal to 6 over y. So then you would have 6 over y. Ach, yes, like man. Sorry, you would have 6 over y, so brackets 6 over y plus 3 y plus 1 equals 18. It would be exactly the same thing. You'd just be working in terms of y instead of terms of x. Okay. And now we need to work out, now that we've got our x's, we need our y's. Okay, so remember y was equal to 6 over x. So y would be equal to 6 over 6, so that would be 1. Or y would be equal to 6 over 3, so that would be 2. Okay, so 6 and 1 is the one pair of coordinates. The other one is 3 and 2, like so. Okay, and that's how you would do question number 3. Any questions? Are you sure there's no questions, grade 11s? Sure, everybody. All good. Cool, Mlondi. I'm glad that you enjoyed this. It's a very useful section to do, actually, because as I was saying earlier, or maybe I was saying it to the other class, I can't remember now, point of intersection is important in analytical geometry. It's important in functions. So learning how to solve and solving simultaneously is something that you're going to be doing over and over and over, no matter what section of maths you're working with. So yeah, it's good to practice these skills and get used to doing this, because it's only going to help you certainly next year when you go into matric a lot as well. Okay. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, let's bring it to a close.